want to know. I opened up a Vic-20 that had been in the garage for some time the other day. And this is the Vic-20 there. And I noted, I think I said maybe it has like a daintier keyboard, or it just, the print looked different. It sounded different. Especially from this one. Those who are in the know will remember this sound. This is the sound of a PET. And some of the early Vic-20's had keyboards that had the same mechanism as the PET. Also different keys. See these keys, and I'm going to put some close-up pictures in at the end, so hang in there. These keys are sort of rounded on the top and sort of gently contoured upwards. These are much squarer. They are. Some have different, function keys. These are orange, those are orange, those are gray. But, they were trying to churn out machines at a great rate, and I suspect there were a number of companies, perhaps, or different factories that made keyboards to try and get these out. So this is the PET one. Hear that sound? Different. You almost hear it echoing. I forget. Let me just look at the bottom of this one. Well, this isn't a remarkably low serial number. It's 43,810, made in the USA. But old enough to have a PET keyboard. So, as I say, I don't know how many different versions there are, but there are some. This one does have a two-pronged plug. These other ones have the DIN plug, the same as what the Commodore 64 would have, and so the power supplies can be shared. So, I think what I'm going to do here is, I did want to test this machine, but also I want to do some close-up shots of each keyboard so you can get a better look at what I mean by the differences. So I think if I were to pick a key or a group of keys, I think maybe I'm going to try and shoot a close-up of just this little bit down in the corner, which would be the Commodore key, the shift lock, run stop, control, and other such keys. I think that's what I'll do. And then maybe we'll test this machine. So hang in there. The pictures will follow. First thing we're going to do before testing this PET keyboard Vic-20 is make sure that I have things here that are working. For example, I have a 1701, I have a video cable. Funny, this cable, it's not a Commodore cable, but it was kind of, well, an industry, I think it came from Radio Shack, although I'm looking. And I don't see any markings, but it was sort of an industry standard, and it did give you access to all, there are 5 pins, and it gave you 4 outputs. So this was kind of the non-Commodore universal cable, which was a good thing. This one has 5 pins, which means if you try and put it in an 8-pin machine, it will work fine. If you have an 8-pin cable and you try and put it in a 5-pin machine, it doesn't go so well. Anyway, what I want to do, just before I try to plug in this other Vic-20, of course I'll have to find another power supply, here is a Vic, smaller board than the original, it is, but I know that this works, I know this power supply works, and There's a sneaky trick. I did not realize. Oh, look at that. I just stuck the video cable into the power connector and it fits quite fine. Thankfully there was no power applied. How could there be? Anyway, don't do that. So, from what I know, when I turn this on, ooh, that's kind of dark. The Vic-20 screen will come up. And it did. Okay. That's better. So that is good. So we know we have cables, power supply, monitor that works. Mind you, I do have to find another power supply. This is different. But it's all good. By the way, up behind me here, this is the only picture that I know of that exists that contains Sid Bolton and my brother and I. And it was taken on the Jim Butterfield celebration day. And I guess it was 2018, and it really was a great day. It was quite magnificent, and Richard gave him, he'd found a Commodore hockey jersey. There was supposedly a team somewhere, so we passed that on to the museum, and it was not long after that the museum essentially closed when dear Sid passed away. Terribly sad. I'm still not over it. I'll never be over it. Yes. And I would say, I don't know what happened, but it just seems all very mysterious. It does. Oh dear. Anyway. So, I'm going to find another power supply. We can test this Vic-20, and there may actually be more Vic-20's to have a look at as well. So, we shall continue. I have been to the garage to get a power supply, and indeed, I found two more Vic-20's. Oh, I think I'll put that down there. But more importantly, at this moment, I found a power supply for a two-prong connector on a Vic-20. So, they do have short cords, these. Excuse me. All right. So we have the power supply plugged in. So being careful to plug the correct plug the correct things in to the correct places, and making sure that the power switch is indeed off, we will apply power. Okay, the LED is on. There was a note on the bottom of this that said it was sometimes slow to come up. Maybe it needs a little... Oh! Shazam! Alright, well that's a good sign. Maybe I will turn this off for a second. I'll keep it inside. The board actually, oh, look at that. The board is not really secured inside of here, and the little trap door that covers the video section is missing. But it does look like an early board. It does. Anyway. Oh. Oh. Alright, I imagine. I imagine the shift lock key does not work. Are we going to come up again? We are. Nor does much anything on the keyboard at this moment. I'm not sure why. I did notice, as I opened it up, that the wires for the shift lock are not connected. Interesting. But the keyboard is plugged in. Well, more investigations are necessary. But this is certainly the top of the machine. And you know what? The original plastic protector, little plastic strip that was intended to be ripped off, it hasn't been ripped off. Alright, let's see here. Always be gentle. Here's another Vic-20. Ooh. I don't think we'll be testing this one. Does it say anything? It does not say anything. The power switch is seeming to be quite stuck. So that was quick. And I think it's probably screwed shut. Well, 2 out of 3. Alright. We won't be looking at that one at this moment. Here's another. This one feels heavier. This power switch switches. So, we will see what we will see. By the way, I'm sure you know this, but there is kind of a mark at the top. A little, that's what I call it, a witness mark. Lets you know this is the top. That's the way it goes. Alright, we'll turn it on and pray that there is no smoke. Oh. Well, there is no smoke, but the picture is squirrely. And consistently swirly. Well, I guess the next thing I must do, besides turning this off and setting it aside, is get some paper. This one more time. I mean, if the power switch is broken, the power switch is broken. Oh, I got it to switch. This is not necessarily recommended. Brute force is not the best policy. But anyway, it moved. So, what the heck? Pray for no smoke. Oh, now it doesn't want to move. Oh, now it's moving. Oh, interesting. In the first moment it appeared, it did have color around the border, and then it went away. And this one, yes, it is interesting, but it did come up. But in black and white. See, it's funny, I had another Vic-20 that I was using, and when I hooked it up to this monitor, well, not a monitor like this, of course, but not this one, but then to an external flat screen, such as this, but not this one, I found the screen went to black and white only on this, and I think it was color on the other one. And I did go in, and there are little itty-bitty, I guess, potentiometers inside the board, inside the video enclosure that I did tweak. and upped the output, and then it was good. But anyway, that's very strange. For a moment, it was blue. The switch is still a little wonky. But it does seem to type. Imagine that. Oh, yes. Let's see. Oop. The keys are a little wonky. Oops. Don't forget quote mode. I'm a better typer than this. Ooh, that looks pretty tragic. What did I type? Oh, on the S key. Oh. It's stuck down. It is interesting. I wonder if the spring is gone or what. Anyway, things happen. There. World of Commodore. In case you're not aware, T-Plug is holding a show soon, December the 7th, 2019. It's in Toronto, but it's not really in Toronto, it's in Mississauga, at a place called the Admiral Inn. For more details, go to Google and put in World of Commodore 2019. It's a Saturday, it's a great event. If you're in the area, or you feel like coming to the area, it's well worth it. Here we are. In front of me, I have 6 Vic-20's, mostly complete. This one doesn't have a keyboard. This one, I marked it in August of 2014, and have done very little with it until now. Although, what am I doing with it now? Not much. Anyway, so what do we have here is 6 Vic-20's to varying degrees. Dirty and works, S key, that's the black and white one. This is not, this was coming out of the box, doesn't work. Garbled screen, doesn't work. This is the original PET, slow coming to life, but it works. And this works. So, I'm going to look for more Vic-20's. Maybe we'll go on a fixing or attempting to fix binge, maybe, we'll see. Anyway, but when tinkering on things, it is good to keep notes, even if it's not 5 years until you look at something again. So I'm going to put these all aside together and maybe make another trip to the garage and see what I can see. So thank you for being here. I miss you, Sid. Bye for now.